Please join me in welcoming the SVP and CTO of Intuit, Tayloe Stansbury, and with him, Wade Roush of Xconomy. Thank you. It's great to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right here. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here today. In 2009, our guest, Tayloe Stansbury, joined Intuit, where he's currently Senior Vice President and Chief Technology Officer, meaning he's in charge of engineering and product innovation across Intuit. He's got a background in applied mathematics and computational linguistics. And before Intuit, he played key leadership roles and engineering roles at companies like VMware, Ariba, Calico Commerce, Xerox, Borland, and Sun, meaning he's seen Silicon Valley both from the engineering side and the development side, and the sort of the executive leadership side. So I've had the privilege of sitting down with Tayloe a couple times in preparation for a story I'm writing for Xconomy about Intuit and how this company that became famous for selling shrink-wrapped personal finance and small business software like Quicken, TurboTax, and QuickBooks on the desktop is now making the transition into the age of mobility and connected services. So Intuit was founded in 1983, and the question that really interests me most is how it keeps on reinventing itself when it's reaching an age when most other tech companies are sort of settling into a comfortable middle age. How do you keep on truly innovating after several generations of technological transformation? So today, remarkably, 2/3 of Intuit's revenue comes from hosted services, rather from these shrink-wrap products. And so I wanted to start off by asking Tayloe to talk about what does the business at Intuit look like right now? How did you guys pull off that transformation? And what role did mobile play in that change? And what role is it playing?
So we focus on helping people save time, save money, helping them with their financial lives through products like TurboTax and Mint and QuickBooks. Those products have undergone a huge transformation, as you said, from desktop to online. So we serve some 60 million customers today, about 45 million of whom are online, and about 7 million of whom are mobile. So we've had a huge growth there. If you look at, over the course of the last few years, in 2008, we had only one mobile app in market. Today, we have over 50 mobile apps in market, and the growth in adoption of those mobile products is far faster than we saw with the growth and adoption of our web-based products.
What are the biggest mobile products right now?
Our two biggest, I would say, would be TurboTax-related products and mobile banking-related products. So TurboTax, we have a product called SnapTax, where you take a picture of your W-2 and you answer a handful of questions and you hit send, and you've now filed a 1040EZ federal and state in less than 10 minutes, basically with just taking a picture of your W-2. We also have an iPad version and for some of the Android tablets as well that actually runs full TurboTax, so you can do a complicated full TurboTax return on your iPad. And it turns out that that product was the leading iPad revenue-bearing product in the Apple Store towards the end of tax season last year. On the mobile banking side, we have mobile apps that will help you with tracking your balance, what your expenses are, let you take a picture of a check to deposit it for your bank, and also we have soon coming out a mobile wallet that will allow you to transfer money from your account and then through NFC actually pay for things with your phone. So we serve about 10 million users with our banking products. These are products that are essentially services that are sold to mid-tier banks, about 1,500 banks, that in the aggregate add up to about the traffic of the 5th largest bank in the US.
The 5th largest, okay. So not very long after you joined the company in 2009, Intuit made a big acquisition. It bought Mint.com, which had become very well known for building a very user-friendly, very pretty, mobile-based personal finance tracking system. And Mint's founder and CEO, Aaron Patzer, has stayed with the company and is currently Vice President of Innovation. So my question on that is, how did the Mint acquisition change Intuit's culture? How did Intuit's culture change Mint? And was it a question of, was that decision to buy a company like Mint a reflection of changes that had already been going on inside Intuit? or did it, in addition, kind of accelerate changes you had already been engineering in the mobile side?
Well, we'd had Quicken from the very beginning. That was our very first product in
Right.
market. Mint just did a fantastic job, does a fantastic job of mobile and online personal finance. And so we wanted to add that to the portfolio as a complement to Quicken. It's done very, very well for us. It continued to grow very quickly. As you know, it's a free product, it's a free personal finance product that we monetize through offers that we make to you as you use the product. Mobile adoption on that has been very, very high. Initially, we left that team alone to focus on their goals and to grow. And more recently, what we've been doing is incorporating Mint ideas and Mint code into other products. And so you should expect to see coming out in the near future in our small business products and in our banking products, things that are heavily influenced by Mint and running Mint code inside of them.
Mm-hmm. And no doubt you've been able to leverage your size and reach as a company to help Mint get out to a lot more people, right, than the startup itself might have been able to do without your help.
Yes, especially as that creeps into some of our existing product lines that address very large numbers of users. So banking, right. Again, 10 million. Small business, about 5 million users who use QuickBooks across the US.
Okay. Intuit has around 8,000 people, if I'm correct. And it's a lot of people to shepherd. And what's your view on how to keep a company that large innovating?
That's a great question. It's absolutely essential to keep remaking yourself all the time. And so we have a huge culture of innovation that runs across the company and goes deep into every team. We expect everybody to be involved in innovation in some form. We teach it. We have various mechanisms to curate it, as well as having a central innovation team to push it further faster. So we have everything from pain storms, idea jams, code jams, which are confined events for a day where you get customers and engineers together to figure out what might be a useful thing to build, get a lot of ideas out there, and experiment quickly and fail fast or succeed fast and iterate when you learn things from experimentation with customers.
Just go back, what's this word, pain storm?
Trying to discover what pain points customers have that we may be able to address with our products and our technology.
What does a pain storming session look like then?
Be a full day where you actually sit down with customers and try to understand with them what it looks like to, what their problems are and what solutions may actually be great for them. Mm-hmm. So that's complemented by unstructured time for all of our engineers, where they're expected to spend about 10% of their time not on their assigned project, not on a project controlled by their manager, but building something that may have a longer gestation period than a single day code jam would allow you to do, and get those into market in small experimental form, see if it works, and then if it does work, turn it into a real product. And we have some 300 of those that have turned into either features of existing products or products in their own right. And SnapTax, which I alluded to earlier, is one example of an unstructured time project that grew into a now very heavily adopted product in market.
And I visited the company on a day when you were training some innovation mentors. You probably have a different name for them, but basically you were training people who were then going to go back out into the company and run these pain storming sessions and other types of innovation sessions on their own, right?
Yes, it's innovation catalysts, and they're people that we've trained from all corners of the company, so we want this to be embedded into every innovation thing that we do, who will help innovation teams with process for brainstorming, for going broad, narrowing down on the right ideas, experimenting fast, designing experiments that are cheap to do and quick, and engaging customers in the process so that we can make sure that we're always customer focused in what we end up doing. Mm-hmm. So that process we've actually had written up in Harvard Business Review, the Innovation Catalyst program, and we have some 300 of those trained and acting around the company now.
So my next question is about mobile. So what is it that's unique about mobile that opens up opportunities for innovation? And I think one of them is just that it's actually easier to pull off an experiment on a mobile platform. It's easier to get a mock-up or an actual piece of software running. It's easier to get it out to potential users and have them try it out. Would you say that your whole Innovation Catalyst program is enabled in a way by the fact that these newer platforms are just easier to program for and easier to test?
Well, there's also a lot that you can do with them that you just can't do with a web-based product or a desktop product. There are sensors in the devices that you can take advantage of, microphone, camera, accelerometer, and so forth, that enable you to do a whole bunch of different things you couldn't do before very easily with just a keyboard and a mouse. And so, and of course, the addressable market is much, much larger. And let me give an example of that. We have a product in India called Fasal, which is an SMS text-based product that allows farmers to find out what is the best market price for markets near where they are to sell their crops. And we have about 1 million farmers who are using this application. Would not have been possible because most of them don't own computers. Wouldn't have been possible as an online product. And they are getting about 15 or 20% more take-home pay than they would otherwise have got without the product. So that's just an example of reach that we can get to with mobile that we couldn't have gotten to otherwise.
And that sounds like that's a smartphone or feature phone type thing. It works via SMS, so it doesn't require an iOS device, for example.
Thinking about that market, it's mostly feature phone. Yeah.
Is mobile as easy to monetize as your products were during the desktop software area, or do you have to think differently about how to monetize?
That's a great question. There's so many ways to monetize mobile. Advertising, as I'm sure all of you have learned, is trickier, and so the average revenue per customer is a little bit smaller. But we have many other ways of monetizing our mobile products. So, for example, the mobile banking products we sell through the banking channel, and so they pay us for those offerings. TurboTax for the iPad, SnapTax, those are paid when you file, right? So that's paid not when you download the app, but when you finish filling the whole thing out and say, okay, I'm ready to file my taxes. When you file, that's when you pay. Other products that we have, for example, QuickBooks Mobile, you pay for that as a subscription every month as part of your QuickBooks subscription, and mobile is just another way of accessing that data. So, so we have a variety of different ways of monetizing our mobile apps that seem to be working very, very well.
Are any of the apps paid apps? Have you tried to go that route?
A few of the apps are paid, but mostly that's not the model we've been pursuing.
Revenue comes on the back end, whether it's paying for your tax return.
Subscription fee or fee to file your taxes, or, for example, with our mobile payments application, GoPayment, which has been growing like crazy. Again, that's going to be a per transaction fee.
What's Intuit's standpoint on providing services that outside developers can use? Are there APIs to any kind of cloud data that Intuit owns that third-party developers can incorporate into their mobile apps? And what does your program look like for working with mobile developers? Yeah,
so that's something we've been focusing on a lot in the last couple of years, is opening up our platform for developers to build to. And so, for example, we have the Intuit Partner Program, which is largely aimed at letting developers tie into our QuickBooks ecosystem. So if you want to tie into QuickBooks data, then you can use the Intuit Partner Platform. We have over 100,000 registered developers for that, and many millions of actual users of it. One example application for that is an expense reporting app, which is written by a third party, just lets you take a picture of a receipt and automatically turns that into an expense item that's synchronized with QuickBooks through the Intuit Partner Platform. And they have about 500,000 people who are using that application today. So another thing that we've opened up is access to some of our bank data services, where it allows you to get to transaction data, of course, with the user's permission, and we would work with you and make sure that you're upholding all of our data principles, because this is very precious customer data. But that's another area where we've opened up application interfaces.
Where's the first place to stop for a third-party developer who wants to work with Intuit? Do you have a web page or an outside developer relations person that they should call?
IPP, Intuit Partner Platform. That's what to look up. And if you want to get one of the apps, apps.com.
Okay. So I've been to a couple of these innovation gallery events that you do on the campus at Intuit, and you've got another one coming up, I guess, in January. And so I wanted to ask you where the inspiration for that came from. It's a way to show off some of these 10% time projects that you've been talking about, right?
Yeah, so the inspiration for that was we would just love for everybody to see how we innovate. And it's something that we've been working very hard on. As you say, the only way to remake an 8,000 person company all the time is divide it up into small teams and iterate fast and try to track what customers' needs are and make sure that we're continuing to build applications that indeed serve those needs. So we would just love to show how we're doing that and what kinds of applications we're coming up with.
I guess, to me, one of the interesting things about the age we live in is that there's always the danger of being completely disrupted, right? There might be somebody right behind you who has an idea that is so magical that they can quickly round up millions of users. By contrast, it might have taken Intuit, maybe a year or 5 years to get to its first million users back in the 1980s. So do you lose sleep over that possibility? Or do you feel like you guys know your business well enough and you got enough developers who understand mobile platforms that you're pretty secure, at least when it comes to dominating this personal finance and small business software area?
Of course, it's something that one has to be concerned with. But if we focus on innovation as we have been, then we can stay, we think, ahead of that in a lot of ways. What we want to complement that with is what we just spoke about, which is platforms, is opening up our ecosystem for third-party developers to tie into. One of the things that's hardest and takes the longest amount of time is to build up an ecosystem of 5 million small businesses, tens of millions of consumers who are using our products and share their data with us. That's an asset that takes a long time to build up. So if we're able to, under appropriate terms, share that asset with others who want to develop applications, then they can be essentially part of our ecosystem, and we're with them rather than battling with them.
Great. Well, thanks, Tayloe. It's been really great getting to know you and working with Intuit a little bit. So thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Okay.